Okay, this lesson is about multiplying polynomials. And so far we've looked at multiplying a monomial by a polynomial, and we did that by distributing. And so we're going to do polynomials times polynomials, which is also a form of distributing. It's a little bit more involved, so it's important that you understand the steps. So we've looked at problems like this, where we had a monomial, in this case it's 2x, and we multiplied it by a polynomial. In this case it's a binomial, 3x plus 2. And basically all we did was we distributed the multiplication. So I ended up with 2x times 3x, so here's the first one, and then 2x times 2, so here's the second one. So that's just the basic distributive property. Okay, so if we replace the 2x with a polynomial, in this case it's going to be 2x plus 5, we're still going to use the distributive property. So in this case, we're taking this whole thing and we're multiplying it by 3x, as you can see here. And then we're taking this whole thing and we're multiplying it by 2, as you can see here. Well, in order to multiply these, we have to do the distributive property again. So it would be 3x times 2x, which gives me 6x squared, and 3x times 5, which gives me 15x. For the second one, it would be 2 times 2x, which gives me 4x, and 2 times 5, which gives me 10. I then look to see if I have any like terms. These two middle terms both have an x, so they're like terms, so I would add those two together, so 15 and 4 gives me 19. And I end up with this trinomial, 6x squared plus 19x plus 10. And most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, when you multiply two binomials together, you're going to end up with a trinomial. You'll usually have two terms that are like terms. Okay, so if we look at this again, this time we're looking at it kind of backwards. In this case, we're saying we're going to take this and we're going to multiply it by this whole thing. And then we're going to take this and multiply it. So here I've broken it up differently. It's going to give me the same answer, but I've broken it up differently. So 2x times 3x plus 2. So I'll do 2x times 3x, which is 6x squared, and 2x times 2, which is 4x. Then I have 5 times 3x, which is 15x, and 5 times 2, which is 10. And if you look, this and this, these are the same. Your middle terms are in a different order, that's all. And so when we add our like terms, we end up with 6x squared plus 19x plus 10. Okay, now this can be kind of confusing, and it seems like a lot of work, and it kind of sort of is. So we're going to look at this again. This time we're going to look at it as if it were areas. And the reason we do areas is because when you multiply polynomials, you usually end up with a squared term, which makes this a quadratic. Okay, an area is a quadratic measurement. So that's why we compare these to areas. So here I have these four rectangles. Okay. This one is 2x by 3x. This one is 2x by 2. This one is 5 by 3x, and this one is 5 by 2. And if I wanted to find the area of the whole outside of the whole thing, I could find the area of these four things and add them together. So if I look at this, I would have 2x times 3x. That's going to give me 6x squared. Here I would have 5 times 3x, which gives me 15x. For these down here, I would have 2x times 2, which gives me 4x, and 5 times 2, which gives me 10. Notice that I have four terms, and they're exactly the same as the things we had up here. Here's my 2x plus 5. Here's my 3x plus 2. I add my like terms, and I get the same thing. So this is kind of how we're going to model multiplying two binomials together. So there's something called FOIL, and I think we're going to talk about FOIL. I don't know if we talk about a different lesson or not, but we're going to talk about it right now. So FOIL, when I have two binomials, so here are my two binomials that I'm going to multiply. 2x plus 5 times 3x plus 2. Okay, just like PEMDAS or GEMDAS is a mnemonic to help us remember the order of operations, FOIL is a mnemonic to help us remember how we can multiply two binomials. And it stands for first, outside, inside, and last. Okay, so rather than trying to do all of this up here, okay, which probably isn't going to make sense, at least not for a while, you can think of FOIL. So these are my two first terms, I'm going to multiply those together. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. These are my two outside terms, the 2x and the 2. So I'm going to multiply those together, and that's going to give me 4x. Then I have inside, these are my two inside terms, the 5 and the 3x. I multiply those, and I get 15x. And then these are my last terms, the 5 and the 2. Multiply those, I get 10. Notice this is the four things, the four terms that I got up here when I did these two different methods. Okay, I then add my like terms, which are the 2 in the middle, and I end up with 6x squared plus 19x plus 10. And I think we're going to talk about FOIL again later on in this chapter. But for now, that's an easy way to remember when you're multiplying a binomial times another binomial, just to make sure that you've done all the multiplication that you can. You can also look at it this way. I'm going to distribute the first term times these two, and then I'm going to distribute the second term times those two. Okay, there's several different ways you can go about doing this, whichever way works best for you, and it's just something that's going to take practice. Okay, so let's look at our next example. Now this example, we have a binomial times a trinomial, so FOIL is not going to work. So here's what I find to be the easiest way to do it. I'm going to take this first term, which is 3x, and I need to multiply it by these three terms in here. Don't forget that the -5, the negative goes with the 5x, and this negative goes with the 4. So I'm going to start with, made my arc too big, and then I couldn't erase it. I'm going to start with 3x times 2x squared. So 3x times 2x squared, the 3 times 2 gives me 6. X times x squared gives me x cubed. Then I'm going to do 3x times -5x. And let me write these down a little bit lower. Save myself some room. So this was 6x cubed. 3x times -5x is going to give me -15x squared, because 5 times -5, or 3 times -5 is -15. X times x is x squared. And then I'm going to do 3x times -4. Well, 3 times -4 is -12, and then it's just x. Okay, so that's the first term. Now I'm going to take this second term, which is -2, and I'm going to multiply it by each of these three. So -2 times 2x squared is going to give me -4x squared. -2 times -5x is going to give me a positive 10x. And -2 times -4 gives me a positive 8. Okay, so I have completed all of the multiplication that I need to complete. Now I need to look for like terms. This is an x cubed. I do not have any other x cubes, so I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to underline that one. Here I have x squared, so there's an x squared, and here's an x squared. I can add those. -15 and -4 are -19, so that's -19x squared. Here I have an x. Here I have an x. -12 and positive 10 gives me -2x, and I'm just left with this positive 8 at the end. So this is the whole thing multiplied and then simplified. Okay, so when I multiply this, I have to multiply everything out. I then have to add my like terms. So this would be my final answer here. You're going to do the same thing for this try this. Take the y, multiply it by these four things. Take the 2x, multiply it by these four things. You're going to end up with 8 terms, and then you're going to combine your like terms. So you might end up with 4 or 5 terms when you're finished, okay? But you're going to need to look for your like terms.